Hello there. The Taliban hierarchy has ordered the West to vacate Afghanistan by the 31st of August, or they will impose consequences. As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. And when subscribing, please do press that little bell, but also select the all option, or you won't get notified on my new videos. While the mighty West scrabbles about to try and organise a humiliating airlift to cap its defeat, the sandal-wearing AK-47 toting Taliban are sticking ruthlessly to Joe Biden's self-imposed deadline for the end of Mercy flight operations. The Taliban spokesman, Dr. Suhail Shaheen, told Sky News, "It's a red line. President Biden announced that on the 31st of August they would withdraw all their military forces, so if they extend it, that means they are extending occupation while there is no need for that. If the US or UK were to seek additional time to continue evacuations, the answer is no, or there would be consequences. It will create mistrust between us. If they're intent on continuing the occupation, it will provoke a reaction." So, Sleepy Joe, what have you done? You've gifted the people of Afghanistan into the hands of barbarians and then told them that it was the right thing to do. You've single-handedly taken the reputation of America and trashed it. And I say to you Democrats out there, like Kamala Harris, who legitimised Joe Biden with your support for him, that you are complicit in what will go down in history as arguably America's greatest historical shame, and your names will forever be synonymous with the stream of terrible images flooding out of Afghanistan in the coming months and years. I can see the 46th US president getting the immortal title of Biden the Betrayer. Especially given that Joe Biden has been talking about discussions taking place to extend the deadline, and we now find out from Reuters that 2 Taliban sources said that no such request had been made by anyone and that it would be refused anyway. But Boris Johnson will be pressing Biden for an extension of US control over the airport at a virtual meeting of G7 leaders tomorrow. But the Foreign Secretary, Dominic Raab, and the Defence Secretary, Ben Wallace, are already being ignored by their US counterparts. So it looks like the die is well and truly set. You do have to wonder if the bewildered Biden doesn't think that his nannies told him to put his toy soldiers away before hot chocolate, bickies and bedtime, so he's rushing to put them all in the tin and consign them to the cupboard under the stairs as quickly as possible. Anyway, this leaves just 8 days to get everyone that we can out. But the last to leave will be the troops. And with the amount of time needed to do that, it could mean we only have about 48 hours left to keep flying out those Afghan nationals who helped us over the last 20-odd years. With Ben Wallace saying, "It's really important for people to understand. The United States have over 6,000 people in Kabul airport, and when they withdraw, that will take away the framework, and we will have to go as well. If their timetable extends, even by a day or two, then that would give us a day or two more to evacuate people, because we are really down to hours now, not weeks, and we have to make sure we exploit every minute to get people out." And the Daily Mail reports, British military commanders are understood to have penciled in August the 25th, that's this Wednesday, as the last day they can process refugees, including former British interpreters, before the focus shifts to getting about 1,000 British troops and government officials home safely. And I wonder if we've also had to build in a bit of fudge factor time, in case the US President, or whoever's really giving the orders, calls an early halt, leaving us in the frying pan, with the fire being the only escape route. And I would not like to be in the last flight that leaves that airport. No ground troops to protect you or keep the runway clear. no air cover to speak of, and thousands of left-behind Afghan helpers desperately jamming onto the runway. And then there's the odd opportunistic Taliban fighter to consider too, drunk on victory and taking pot shots. Now, I'm fervently hoping that there is a workable tactical withdrawal procedure for this. The other option being that the Taliban works with the US and the UK to keep the airport clear. And that will go down like a lead fart with those left behind that get rounded up later by the Taliban for reprisals. And there is a huge question mark over how the Taliban will be governing the country once the US has left. Because they've said that their plans will only be made public once the last US boot has left Afghan soil. But the stories already emerging of Taliban atrocities tells us all we need to know. And I gather this is all because Joe Biden wants to now concentrate on countering the growing threat from China as it expands its influence around the world. But I can imagine him in a couple of days' time at some defence and intelligence meeting or other, asking if there's somewhere that shares a border with China where the US can set up a military presence. Someone would no doubt sarcastically answer, "Afghanistan, Mr. President." And baffled Biden would reply, "Never heard of it. When do we go in?" And you think I'm joking. And that this incident has soured relations between the US and UK is indisputable. According to reports, Downing Street is spitting feathers over this whole US-instigated debacle. And now the EU is beginning to panic and argue amongst itself over this. But before I get into that, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Patreon, PayPal and Super Thanks supporters, as well as those that do buy a mug with my mug on it, links in the descriptions box below. You really do help me keep this channel going. Now back to the European Union. A power scuffle is taking place between Janez Janša, the president of Slovenia, the country that holds the 6-month rotating EU presidency, and the president of the EU Parliament, David Sassoli. The president of Slovenia is saying that there will be no repeat of the 2015 Syria refugee crisis. The EU will not open any European migration corridors for Afghanistan, he said. Now, Mr. Janša has a couple of nicknames in the EU. One is the EU Mini-Trump, and the other is Marshal Tweeto, because of his rather combative social media style. But Janša came under instant fire from the President of the EU Parliament, who retorted with, "It is not up to the Slovenian presidency to say what the position of the EU is on the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan." Now remember, David Sassoli had previously backed sharing refugees out equally across the EU. But Janša then came back with, "It is up to the EU member states to decide if they want to take another wave of migration or not." And the Telegraph reports that the EU Commission has offered money from somewhere to member states that do take Afghan refugees, and that Paris and Berlin are pushing for a European-wide plan, but it will likely fall short of any mandatory refugee sharing system. Emmanuel Macron has said the plan must be robust enough to protect Europe from illegal migration. Macron doesn't apply that thinking at the moment regarding the English Channel though, does he? But the Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz is refusing to voluntarily take any Afghan refugees, and Merkel's favourite to replace her as German Chancellor, Armin Laschet, said there can be no repeat of 2015 for Germany. The EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says she will use the G7 virtual meeting called by Boris Johnson to get an extension on US operations at Kabul airport to raise the issue of rehoming refugees. And with previous refugee refuseniks, Poland and Hungary in the mix together with the southern states like Italy and Greece that have suffered so much from this, an EU-wide solution looks nigh on impossible. It might end up with the southern states taking robust action to prevent entry if it looks like many other member states will be turning them away. This could get uglier. Finally, there's the matter of all that highly expensive and dangerous military equipment that befuddled Biden has managed to leave behind in Afghanistan. I would think that the Taliban have had ample time to select what they want and relocate it to a safe armoury before Biden gets round to doing anything about it, like airstrikes to destroy them. So what's your opinion on the Taliban ordering us about? Please like and comment below.